Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all. Great. We've got 22.
Are they alive out there? I don't hear them.
Rule number 1, do not clap louder for Michael than for me. I wore a tie for you. This man did not. So
Hey,
let's
look,
get it started.
I was on at 7 a.m. this morning in the HBCU convening, and I had to be the warm-up act for Colin Kaepernick. I deserve support.
Here's the lie. Here's the lie. Michael Lomax is always on, so he is never off. So we got 22 minutes and 23 seconds. This is like a James Brown concert. It's going to be tight and good and funky. So let's go there and get
Well,
down
I feel
to it.
good.
And you look good, too,
All right,
man.
you do too, brother. All
At
right,
one
let's go.
point, I'm going to ask him a question. But first off, I'm going to say thank you to all the HBCUs out there, people that have supported HBCUs. Let me say this. I would not exist. My mom and dad went to Prairie View A&M. Sorry for the Grambling folks out there and the Texas Southern people out there. We'll fight later on. So my mom and dad met at Prairie View A&M, so I would not exist. And my brother, who went to Baylor, I went to the Air Force Academy. Both my sons' godfathers are Morehouse men, and one of the godmothers is a Spelman woman. So thank you in advance for what you've done for HBCUs and United Negro College Fund. Let's start this way, though, Michael. I had the good pleasure of getting a call from Deb Quazzo and calling you. She said, hey, we want to give him this Lifetime Achievement Award. I was in North Carolina at the time. I called you up and I said, hey, Michael, my brother from another mother, we're going to give you this award. You got pretty emotional. What does this Lifetime Achievement Award mean to you, Michael?
Well, I hope it doesn't mean an end to my lifetime. But, you know, at UNCF, we say thank you to people all of the time. We have an annual campaign which does the fundraising the old-fashioned way. We have special events, and we put on about 80 events, 80, during the course of a year. And March is our big year. We call it March Madness. We had 13 events, 7,000 people, raised $8.3 million in March alone. And the hook, give us a hand, come on, that's hard work. And we closed the books on raising over $100 million on March 31st. But we do that. We get people to step up and make a difference by always remembering to recognize and reward. And so we do a lot of recognitions, a lot of rewards, and a lot of thank yous. And I'm always struck by how appreciative people are when they are recognized and they are rewarded for the work that they do when it's important work. So I have to say that I do more of that than receive it, but I want to say to ASU and GSV, I want to say thank you, because ingratitude is the worst of all sins, and I am deeply grateful for this recognition. And I'm deeply grateful for it because I've been on a journey for over half a century now as an educator, trying to proselytize in behalf of a community that hasn't always gotten the respect and the regard that it's due, and that is historically black colleges and universities. I know that they are a powerful educational community. And I felt like, to be honest with you, to have ASU, you know, come on, you guys, give me some feedback on this, you know. To have ASU and Michael Crow, who I have been kind of going in a dance with because I started this work at UNCF when he was, I think, earlier in, well, 21 years ago, earlier in the work with ASU. And I know how relentless he is in behalf of the work that he's trying to do to change, we're not trying to, that he is doing, that now ASU is doing so powerfully, to transform the way we do education in America. That to get recognized by my peer, my brother, Michael Crow, who is, you know, I'm the nice guy, easy to go, you know, but that really means a lot. So I want to say, without humor, but with honesty, how deeply appreciative I am and how important it is for the work that UNCF is doing, for the work that HBCUs are doing, to get the recognition and the acknowledgement from our peers that we're making a difference. So thank you.
You're most welcome. Congratulations again. Congratulations again on a job well done, and you know, as it goes, no good deed goes unpunished. So we need to keep going and moving forward. But let's go backwards a little bit before we go forward, Michael.
Okay.
Michael's a bit of a superhero. I like to say maybe Thor, maybe Captain America. I'm the Black Panther, so you can't have that one. You can't have that one. But let's talk a little bit about your origin story in all seriousness. You've had an amazing journey for generations, but can you just tell folks here kind of how you got here? Let's kind of unpack your origin story, Michael.
Yeah, so it's wonderful to be in San Diego. I tell people that I think of San Diego as a pit stop between Los Angeles and Mexico. Having grown up in LA, we would only stop in San Diego when we needed to go to the bathroom before we continued on the long trip down to Ensenada. But I'm born in LA after World War II, and my parents owned a small newspaper, the Los Angeles Tribune. My mom was the editor. That meant that she wrote almost all 24 pages of that tabloid every week. My father ran the production company, and that newspaper, the Tribune, was really a hell-raising newspaper in Southern California. And we were fighting for good jobs, fighting against and shining a bright light on issues of police brutality and inequity in the Los Angeles community. My mom also was the mother of 6 kids. While she was writing that newspaper, she was also producing 6 children. Well, my mom and my dad were producing the 6 kids. But in 1956, when the bus boycott occurred in Montgomery, Alabama, my mother said that this is the story of my career. And so she decided to take a week off, fly to Montgomery. She covered the bus boycott, met Dr. King, met Mrs. King, met Rosa Parks, met all those folks, came back and was changed as a human being. She said that she could not do journalism from Los Angeles about the South without continuing to go to the South. My parents divorced. In 1961, she decided to take all 6 kids, they shut down the paper, take all 6 kids to Alabama. Car broke down, had to take a bus from Blythe, California. Anybody here from California, from Blythe, which is right on the border, all the way into the South, and we encountered segregation and all of those ills of the period. And a week after we started that trip in that Greyhound bus, we arrived in a small town 29 miles from Montgomery, Alabama, called Tuskegee. And we got off that bus in the morning, and greeting us was a professor from Tuskegee Institute. And that was my first encounter with a historically black college. And a warm bed, a great meal, and a loving community, 29 miles from the center of the civil rights movement. Spent 6 months there. And for the next 5 years, my mom would go in and out of the South writing, and I stayed in Los Angeles to go to high school. In 1964, she said, if you'll come back with me again, I'll send you to prep school. Well, she wasn't telling the truth. She sent me to Morehouse. And at 16, before I graduated from high school, I was a freshman at Morehouse. And that first trip, I met the loving community of black colleges. On the trip to Morehouse, I learned the exacting academic community of a historically black college, and I had the great good fortune to get one of the great educations, one of the greatest, had to have the greatest educational opportunity of my lifetime.
Was President Mays your president?
Dr. Benjamin Mays was the president, and over the 4 years from 1964 to 1968, I matriculated. And as I learned in the classroom, I also learned about activism in the community. And weeks before graduation in '68, April the 4th, Dr. King was assassinated, and his funeral was held on our college campus. And that experience of the world coming to our campus to pay homage to a great leader, I made a commitment as I looked down into his casket and recognized that this man had given his life so that my generation could have different kinds of lives, that whatever I did, whatever I would do with my life, it couldn't just be about earning a good living, supporting a family. It had to be about making real change in the world. And so I will close the story by saying that the journey I've been on since 1969, when I started teaching freshman composition at Morehouse College, I have been on a journey to try to repay Martin King for the contribution he made to the world.
Hear, hear. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. If you're sensing that Michael's getting a little emotional, he is, and I am, and this is powerful, this is compelling. I was born in 1969, so I'm not calling you old. I'm just saying that 1969 was a good year. That's all.
It was a great year,
I'm
brother.
saying. So, okay, so let's run it up to the present in the sense that activism, social justice, equity, race, how are you reconciling and dealing with those ideas in 2025? Where does technology play into that vision of activism and justice right now?
Well, you know, what we've seen, and you can't talk about, there are certain words we can't use anymore, and we're not supposed to say injustice, we're not supposed to say inequity, we're not supposed to say diversity. You know, there are a lot of things we're not supposed to say, but that doesn't mean they still don't exist in the world. And I believe, and this is something that Chris and I were talking about backstage, because I was asking, why did you choose education? I think both of us agree that it is an imperfect way of making change in the world, but it is among the best ways to elevate humanity, to give people an opportunity, and to allow them to have the resources that they need to change their own lives, their families' lives, and their communities, and hopefully to change the world. So we're doing this work because all of those inequities and inequalities exist. HBCUs, which are the educational institutions I believe in deeply and believe they can make a big difference, you know, are doing great work. They're educating hundreds of thousands of students every year. They're doing it with inadequate resources, but they are committed to that mission. What I think the moment provides us with an opportunity to do is to accelerate that by embracing technology. And I was in you all missed this morning with Colin Kaepernick, where I was, you know, the opening act. And he talked about I had listened to Sam Altman last week talk about the power and importance of AI, and then hear Colin Kaepernick say just about the same thing. Sam said, people are afraid of AI. It is potentially the most democratizing technology. It can close those gaps, or it can widen them.
Yes.
But one way or the other, it's going to have an impact. And Sam said, what you got to do is just jump in there and start using it.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick says the same thing. He says, dive in there and start using it. And I think what I heard today and what I'm going to take back to the work I do is you don't have to know everything to start doing something with the technology and beginning to harness it to close those gaps, to give young people who are hungry for something and don't know what they're hungry for, to give them exciting educational opportunity that the technology can provide. You all are doing virtual reality. You're doing all kinds of exciting things that I believe are the new pedagogies of the 21st century that can turn on these young kids who otherwise will not be learning and building their own capability. And if we harness it and start using it, we can make a huge difference and have scaled impact across all of the differences that we live through.
Wonderfully said, and we can do it in a way that's unique, avant-garde, and different. You think about black people taking classical music and gospel music and creating jazz. You think about black people taking, when they took the trombones and the trumpets out of the classroom, getting two turntables and coming up with things like hip-hop. People like Kendrick Lamar and Drake, these later or earlier artists, like Run DMC is here, DMC is here as well. And we've always been able as a people to improvise, to create something that's not just special for America, but special for the world. And why would AI and technology be any different? We got 6 minutes on the
clock. All right, I got you. This is the speed round.
So I got two things. So I grew up, you all of a certain age, watching Lou Rawls' United Negro College Fund, and I always remember a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but I didn't give the full motto of the United Negro College Fund. Please remind us, UNCF, it's not just a mind is a terrible thing to waste,
but a wonderful thing to invest in.
Which is beautiful.
And, you know, we've been around 80 years old. I was not there at the founding. I missed out on that. But for 80 years ago, we created this organization to be a united fundraising campaign. We enlisted the business community. John D. Rockefeller led the first campaign in 1944 at the end of World War II, raised $750,000, equivalent of $10 million in today's dollars. Over the 81 years since then, we have raised over $6 billion, and we've helped over 600,000 students earn college degrees. And importantly, we continue to do the work with 100 institutions. And so, what is our big bet going forward? Our big bet is that historically black colleges, there are 100 of them, if we will work together, and we are, the United Negro College Fund, which represents the private institutions, is working in partnership with the public institutions led by the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. We have a new partner, Ed Advancement, who is helping us with data and technology and some of the other things that will be the glue that will bind us. But think about this. There are 300,000 students at 100 institutions. They enroll they enroll about 10% of all black college students in America. And they produce about 15% of all of the tech STEM scholars that we produce annually. But if you think about them, they're not a national group of institutions. They're a regional group of institutions. There are 19 of them across largely the Southeast and the Southwest, and the District of Columbia. And on average, they are producing 25% of all the black college graduates in those communities. They are having $16.5 billion in economic impact in those communities. They hire 130,000 people. So they are the anchors of all those black communities that range from Hawkins, Texas, which I challenge you to find on the map, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Washington, D.C., where 70% of all the black people who earn a college degree go to two institutions, Howard and the University of the District of Columbia. So they are what we say, punching above their weight. Now, if we can, on that kind of largely in-person system of education, bring in technology, infuse technology into that opportunity, we can do so much more, and we can reach so many more people. And as opposed to being thought of as the laggards of higher education, as institutions that are under-resourced, we will be able to leverage our locations, the trust that the community has in us, the fervor that they have about getting a great education, and we can have much more impact. You know, when we founded black colleges over 150 years ago, the freedmen and women who had been treated as property were hungry for education. They first and foremost wanted to get the ability to read the Bible and interpret it for themselves, so that they would not only hear servants obey thy master, but they would know who their greater master was. And they would not be property, they would be spiritual. You can give me a hand, give them a hand, give them a hand. They obviously wanted to build communities, they wanted to build homes, they wanted to build wealth, they wanted to capture the wealth of their labor and improve their labor. And so some of our greatest institutions like Tuskegee were work schools. You go to Tuskegee and you will see buildings that were built by the students, bricks that they made, and they created a great institution. So work was a part of this. They were on a journey to be able to gain more from that. But the other thing, and this is really important for right now, is they were preparing for engaged citizenship. And so what I would say to us, all of us here, we want to do this, bring education and technology together so that we can be stronger economically and produce greater outcomes. But don't forget that education is the source of values. It's the strength and foundation of our democracy. And so we have to do all of those things in concert. Chris Howard.
Thank you, man. Powerful. So as we close this out, I would say two things in this imperfect democracy. You know, Lincoln said that the democracy is not yet perfected. James Madison, one of our founding fathers, flawed but a brilliant man, said the presupposition about a democracy or democratic republic is an informed citizenry, as you just said. Last thing is that as great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren of enslaved people, my great-great-grandfather, Amos Howard, was an enslaved man out of Texas. Michael's enslaved people were out of Waller County in Texas, where Prairie View A&M is. America's come a long way, and I know you've done a lot, but I know of all the people that are proud of you, your ancestors are proud of you as well. Thank you all very much and have a great day.
Thank you.